Breaking news from the royal family. Hey everyone, today we're diving into a huge announcement from the royal family that no one saw coming. This historic moment is set to completely change the dynamics of the British monarchy. Stay tuned to find out what's happening and the massive impact this decision could have. I'm sure you're all curious about the huge announcement the royal family just made, right? So do any of your friends happen to be royal fans? If yes, leave a 1, and if not, comment 0. Don't forget to enjoy the video and hit that subscribe button to support us. With Catherine by his side, our new Prince and Princess of Wales, I am confident they will continue to inspire and lead important national conversations, bringing those on the margins into the center where they can receive the support they need. Kate Middleton's royal role is expanding. On April 23rd, Buckingham Palace recognized Kate with a new meaningful title, a significant move marking a major step forward in her role. Just 3 minutes ago, the royal family sent a message that shook Buckingham Palace from the corridors to the headlines, making waves across the press. England is now in a state of tension as long-hidden secrets are suddenly exposed in broad daylight. Journalists scramble while helicopters circle around Windsor, and within the quiet of the palace, the royal members look at each other in shock and silence. This is not a polite royal update, but a lightning bolt that tears through centuries of tradition, exposing an unvarnished truth. The big question now is, who made this decision? Why now? And what will happen next as the crown faces this sudden shift? The public is both celebrating and fearing what other secrets might be revealed under the weight of this change. The important decisions made today have shaken the monarchy, as William and Catherine will now take on royal duties, while Queen Camilla will no longer appear in public. This is not just a request, but a clear statement of a power shift. In a world accustomed to royal changes whispered behind closed doors, this moment strikes like a bolt of lightning, shaking the very foundation of the monarchy. Before this shocking announcement broke royal tradition, whispers had begun circulating through the palace halls. At first, they were just rumors, a canceled event, a tense glance, but they created an undercurrent of unease. Royal watchers had noticed Charles's exhaustion, his silence at public events, and Catherine's steady calm. While nothing had been confirmed, the anxiety was undeniable. Journalists have been speculating about Camilla's condition and whether William will ascend sooner than expected. These questions continue to circulate within London's media circles, fueling public unease. In the monarchy, nothing is certain, but these rumors have gained momentum as everything seems unsettled, raising doubts that cannot easily be dispelled. A storm is gathering in the silence. Yet no one dares to speak aloud that the future of the monarchy may not be decided by the king, but rather by the next generation quietly preparing their move. While backstage alliances shift, some of Camilla's longtime supporters find themselves excluded from private meetings, while others are suddenly reassigned or left uninformed. A subtle tension spreads throughout the palace staff, as if the walls themselves are bracing for a heavy blow. It is the calm before the explosion. The leak changed everything. It started with a whisper drifting through the palace halls like a spark waiting to ignite in a forest. A senior figure was stepping back, and that alone was enough to unleash a frenzy. Within minutes, a late-night telegram landed on the phone of a veteran royal reporter. The sender was anonymous, but the palace's seal had been confirmed. The rumor carried an eerie chill, making the reporter's heart race with anticipation. Within the hour, a second message arrived, much clearer, revealing that Camilla had been caught off guard. It happened this week. That was all the newsroom needed to confirm. The news quickly spread across London's media like a storm. WhatsApp groups lit up with speculation, editors screamed for second and third sources, while paparazzi stood guard outside every royal residence. Inside the palace, aides scrambled to patch up the cracks. By dawn, Camilla's face flooded social media with captions demanding answers. The deployment plan, months in the making, was erased overnight. There would be no graceful transition, no soothing ceremony, and no rehearsed statement to ease the shock. Instead, the monarchy found itself in freefall, desperately trying to regain control of a narrative that had slipped beyond its grasp. Camilla found herself trapped in an uncontrollable nightmare. That morning, she attended a quiet charity event in the garden, a routine affair, but everything about her felt different. Her smile gradually faded, her security team tightened their circle, and her eyes remained glued to her phone as message after message came through. Just 45 minutes later, she left without a word of explanation. Upon returning to Clarence's house, Camilla surpassed her usual composure, storming into Charles's private room. Her voice was sharp, hoarse with the betrayal. "How long have you known?" she demanded, but no answer could satisfy her. Her fury erupted like a volcano born from decades of fighting to reclaim her reputation, only to see it torn apart in a single public humiliation. She accused Charles of throwing her to the wolves to protect his own image, sacrificing their marriage for the sake of fame. The palace walls had witnessed many royal disputes before, but nothing compared to the raw fury Camilla unleashed that day. Staff nearby claimed she shattered a glass onto the marble floor, the broken pieces reflecting the shattered confidence she once held. Her greatest fear had become a reality, erased, abandoned, cast aside. At this point, one thing was certain. Camilla would not accept her downfall quietly. She was ready to fight at any cost. William and Kate, who had been stepping forward into the light, were no longer on the sidelines. This royal internal battle had just begun, and the future of the monarchy was facing inevitable changes. Amidst the overwhelming turmoil, William and Catherine maintained an astonishing calm. Their silence was not a sign of weakness, but a symbol of a plan meticulously prepared over years. In the shadows away from the public eye, they quietly built strategic alliances. Late-night calls with trusted aides, partnerships with senior members, and even support from those once loyal to King Charles but now concerned about the fractures within the palace. For this couple, every action stemmed not from personal ambition, but from a deep desire to protect the monarchy from the looming threat of collapse due to outdated values. They saw the public's trust wavering, especially among the younger generation, and they knew the time to act was drawing near. Catherine, with her finesse and decisiveness, became the architect of every detail in the plan. From the tone of the upcoming palace statement to the timing of its release, everything bore her mark. The goal was not only to protect the royal image, but also to ensure unity in an era where division could cause serious harm. Meanwhile, William had discussions with Princess Anne not to seek permission but as a final gesture of respect. Anne, with her trademark bluntness, offered only one warning: prepare for the storm. But William and Catherine were ready. Every move was carefully calculated to avoid public conflict, ensuring the transition would be smooth yet powerful. Catherine was not just a behind-the-scenes figure. She was also granted a new title by King Charles, Honorary Colonel of the Irish Guards. This role was not only an honor, but also a testament to her long-standing connection with the regiment, particularly through events like St. Patrick's Day. The title reinforced Catherine's position not only within the palace, but also in the hearts of the public as a symbol of stability and renewal. This was a strategic move enabling her and William to assert their central role in guiding the monarchy toward the future. On a fateful morning just after 11 a.m., the palace issued a brief yet chilling statement marking the end of an era. In fewer than 200 words, the announcement confirmed that Queen Camilla would no longer undertake public duties independently or hold an official role as consort queen. No ceremony, no speech, just a carefully crafted message emphasizing the modernization of the crown and the rebalancing of public roles. While outwardly polite, everyone within the palace understood this was a decisive move putting an end to a controversial chapter. The future of the monarchy now lay with William and Catherine. The announcement quickly spread across the world, stirring both the public and the media. Outside the palace gates, crowds gathered, some cheering, some lamenting, but all shocked by the sudden change. On social media, hashtags praising William and Catherine as the saviors of the monarchy gained traction. However, beneath the surface of support lay an uneasy concern. If the palace could so swiftly replace a central figure, what would happen next? Inside the palace, the atmosphere grew tense. Staff worked in silence, meetings were canceled, and those once close to Camilla were forced to choose between old loyalties and the new reality. An era had ended, leaving behind the echoes of an irreversible shift. Under the new power shift, the palace seemed to be enveloped in a strange atmosphere where every word and glance was carefully measured, as if walking on fragile glass. One senior servant described the feeling as though every action carried a deeper meaning. King Charles, in almost complete silence, withdrew into private space, spending hours alone, ignoring even his closest advisors. Some believed he was sinking into sorrow, but others whispered that he quietly felt relief as the chaos had unfolded without him being directly involved. Meanwhile, Princess Anne, with the cold fury described by her aides, canceled meetings and withdrew to focus on personal duties. But everyone understood the real reason she was outraged by the downfall of a crowned queen, viewing it as an affront to royal tradition. Princess Anne had never supported Camilla, but witnessing the dethronement of a queen left her deeply unsettled. For her, tradition was the foundation of the monarchy, and even if unpopular, a queen needed to be protected to maintain stability. This event made her question the future. Inside the palace, a fear began to spread. If William and Catherine could so easily cast Camilla aside with just an announcement, then no one, regardless of their position, was immune from being replaced. The atmosphere became suffocating, with staff working in cautious silence, fearing that any mistake could pull them into the line of change. Camilla, though stripped of her position, was not one to easily bow down. Having faced public criticism, endured turbulent years, alongside Charles, and battled through media wars, she had forged resilience. The palace statement was not just a failure, it was a blow to her public identity. But Camilla chose not to remain silent. That evening, she summoned her closest media allies, those she had once supported, and now owed her loyalty. In a tense meeting, she displayed unwavering determination. "They think this is how they protect the monarchy," she said, her voice quiet but sharp. "But it will be their greatest mistake." Despite her close friend Fiona Shelburne advising caution, Camilla crossed the line of restraint. She was ready to unveil untold stories, secrets that could shake the palace, determined to leave her final mark in her own way. While Camilla prepared for battle, Catherine maintained her characteristic calm, a quiet strength that made her the focal point of this transition. Without the need for grand gestures, she commanded everything with poise and resolve. Those close to her called it unwavering strength, an authoritative presence that required no shouting or fanfare. Behind closed doors, Catherine was the one driving every decision, from drafting the palace statement to shaping its tone. She understood that for the monarchy to survive, it needed to be modernized, but the change had to unfold with dignity, avoiding any public conflicts that could cause long-term damage. Every word, every move bore her mark, ensuring that the royal brand remained intact. As the palace sank into change, two opposing forces were quietly preparing. On one side was Camilla with her fury and unyielding plans, ready to shake the very foundations of the monarchy to protect her legacy. On the other side stood Catherine with her calm demeanor and sharp strategy, determined to lead the monarchy into a new era. Both understood that this battle was not just about power, but about the future of an institution centuries old. Inside the palace, the tension remained thick, while the public outside waited, unaware that the unfolding events could change everything. Do you feel the tension building up in the palace? Will Camilla protect her legacy, or will Catherine lead the monarchy into a new era? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Who do you think will win this battle for power? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next developments in this story. Catherine, with her characteristic calm, did not allow herself to be swept up in the joy of victory when the announcement about Camilla was approved. Instead, she focused on the future, protecting the inheritance of her children, preserving the dignity of the crown, and proving that the new generation could lead with both strength and grace. She worked tirelessly with her media allies, ensuring that the sidelining of Camilla was framed as a necessary rebalancing, not a punishment. Every detail, from the phrasing to the timing of the announcement, bore Catherine's mark. She sought no satisfaction from the situation, but aimed to build a lasting royal image, one capable of weathering the storms of the modern era. As the palace revolved around the new order, King Charles seemed increasingly adrift in his own reign. He retreated into silence, torn between his loyalty to Camilla and the decisiveness of his son. Some close to him believed Charles quietly felt gratitude toward William and Catherine for acting when he could not, seeing in them hope for the monarchy's future. But others recognized a deeper pain. He felt hurt, as the woman he crowned queen was stripped of her role while he stood powerless watching. Charles refused to appear publicly, rejecting any statements to defend or thank Camilla. Instead, he withdrew to Highgrove with a few trusted staff, avoiding contact with the royal family. In his silence, the world still felt his sorrow, a king in name, watching power slip from his grasp. If there was a voice in the palace opposing the new order, it was Princess Anne. Known for her sense of duty and discipline, she could not contain her fury upon seeing Camilla cast aside. Though she never liked Camilla, Anne believed that once the crown was given, it had to be respected to protect tradition. For her, publicly dethroning a queen was an affront to the royal legacy. Upon hearing the final announcement, Anne was said to have gone pale, her jaw clenched. She canceled public events, citing family obligations, but everyone understood the truth. In a tense conversation with William at Windsor, Anne bluntly warned, "This is not what Mother wanted," referring to the late Queen's legacy. William, though respectful, remained firm that the monarchy needed change to survive. The debate left a heavy atmosphere, with Anne's anger, though controlled, carrying the weight of a fractured legacy. As the palace sank into internal tension, the public quickly passed judgment. Just 2 hours after the announcement, crowds gathered outside Buckingham Palace, some cheering, some in tears, but most stunned by the sudden change. Public opinion polls showed nearly 70% supported sidelining Camilla, reflecting the public's embrace of William and Catherine as the future leaders. However, beneath the surface of approval lay an undercurrent of unease. The public wondered if a queen could be so easily cast aside, what would happen next. On social media, discussions erupted with praise mixed with concerns about the monarchy's stability. Public opinion, whether supportive or critical, agreed on one thing: a new era had begun. This power shift is not just a new chapter, but a comprehensive reshaping of the monarchy. Catherine and William, with their modern vision, have laid the foundation for a dynasty focused on unity and renewal. But the price of this change is a rift within the family and wounds that have yet to heal. Charles, still king, seems to have become a mere shadow in his own palace. Anne, loyal to tradition, remains the voice of caution about the risks of such change. Meanwhile, Camilla, though sidelined from the spotlight, remains an enigma with untold plans. The monarchy, though saved, still faces a challenge. Can it heal the fractures and regain the public's trust? Or is this change just the beginning of even greater storms? The sidelining of Camilla left a deep mark on the public, revealing that her image had never truly recovered from past controversies. Particularly, the younger generation embraced William and Catherine as a breath of fresh air, offering hope for a modern monarchy free from outdated secrets and rules. Journalists captured the emotions of passers-by, many praising the change as bold and necessary to save the monarchy from weakening. However, beneath the wave of optimism lay an uneasy uncertainty. If a queen could be cast aside in a single night, how solid is the monarchy's foundation? Is it still a sacred symbol or merely a brand managed like a business? On social media and podcasts, rumors about King Charles's health and leadership abilities spread, making the monarchy seem more fragile than ever. In the midst of change, William and Catherine chose silence, refusing to appear publicly or show any sense of triumph. This silence was not a sign of victory, but a cold, calculated statement. They carried out a transfer of power without public conflict, yet with unwavering decisiveness. It was a change executed with royal courtesy, yet carrying the weight of an irreversible decision. The public, though supportive, still wondered what comes next. Their absence from the media only heightened the sense that this was not a celebration, but a serious turning point, laying the foundation for a new era with new rules. In the days following the announcement, Camilla seemed to vanish from public life with astonishing precision. From a queen present at charity events and banquets, she suddenly disappeared. Her schedule was wiped clean. Staff members were reassigned or quietly left. There were no farewells, no final speech, only a heavy silence. Photographers captured a rare moment: Camilla leaving Clarence's house before dawn, dressed in black, her face cold, but her eyes full of fury. Those who saw her described a woman unwilling to accept defeat. Within the palace, rumors spread that Camilla was plotting a major move, perhaps a revealing interview or using her loyal media network to strike back. Despite advisors urging caution, it seemed Camilla had made up her mind. If the palace could erase her, she would leave her mark in her own way. William and Catherine had achieved the seemingly impossible, taking control of the monarchy without public conflict or clear consensus from King Charles. But this victory came at a steep price. Princess Anne, with her loyalty to tradition, remained angry, a reminder that the foundation of the monarchy had cracked. Charles, hidden in solitude, seemed to be nothing more than a shadow of a king. Camilla, though sidelined, remained a latent threat with plans still undisclosed. Even William sensed the unease, worrying that history might judge him for deposing a queen. Catherine, though steadfast, could not ignore her own concern. Public loyalty could shift, and even a small scandal could destroy everything. Their triumph, though impressive, was built on a fragile foundation. As the palace gradually settled into a tense peace, one truth became clear: the monarchy would never return to what it once was. William and Catherine had ushered in a new era focused on modernization and unity. Yet the wounds within the royal family, from Charles's painful silence, Anne's fury to the latent threat from Camilla, remained unhealed. The public, though supportive for now, could quickly turn if their trust was shaken. The monarchy, though salvaged, still stood at a crossroads. Could it overcome the challenges ahead to reaffirm its position? Or was this just the beginning of even greater storms? In Camilla's silence, in Catherine's determination, and in Charles's sorrow, the future of the crown remained an unanswered question. The change in the palace was not just an event, it was a deep fracture in the foundation of the monarchy. As one senior aide remarked, "You can modernize the crown, but you cannot rewrite its core." William and Catherine had led an unprecedented transfer of power, but its consequences would reverberate for years. The monarchy entered a new chapter, but it was one filled with uncertainty, where victory or collapse remained an unanswered question. Inside the palace, everyone could feel the fragility of the new order. Camilla's silence, Charles's pain, and Princess Anne's anger were constant reminders that the price of change was steep. The world now watched every move of William and Catherine, ready to judge any mistake they made. As the first light of dawn swept over Kensington Palace, a new chapter in the monarchy quietly began. No trumpets, no grand ceremonies, only the sense that everything had changed forever. William and Catherine, with their calm demeanor and strategic vision, had become the leaders of the crown. Their rise was not loud, but it was powerful enough to reshape centuries-old traditions in just a few days. Outside the palace, the crowds gradually dispersed, returning to their daily lives, but their conversations now carried a new tone. For the first time in many years, many expressed hope that the monarchy could not only survive, but thrive under the modern leadership of the young couple. However, inside the palace, the scars remained. Charles was submerged in sorrow, Anne held on to her anger, and the shadow of Camilla still lingered. Camilla, once the center of royal events, now seemed to vanish from public life. Her name was erased from official documents, her schedule was canceled, and staff members were reassigned. Her absence was not marked by farewells, but by a cold silence. However, those within the palace knew that this silence was only temporary. Rumors spread that Camilla was plotting a major move, perhaps a revealing interview, or using her media network to retaliate. Aides whispered that she was not someone who easily accepted defeat. Camilla's bitterness, though concealed, remained a latent threat, like a storm quietly gathering, ready to challenge the new order that William and Catherine had painstakingly built. A seemingly small moment at a previous royal event now carried profound significance. During a formal ceremony, Catherine, the future queen consort, did not bow to Camilla, an action that broke with traditional protocol. To outsiders, it was just a minor detail, but within the palace, where every gesture is symbolic, it was a bold statement. A bow was not merely a sign of courtesy, but an acknowledgement of rank. Catherine's refusal to bow was understood as a sign of change. A new generation was reshaping the rules. Some believed it was a deliberate act, a rebuke of Camilla's influence. Others saw it as Catherine and William embodying a modern royal era, gradually moving away from outdated customs. Regardless of the reason, that moment marked the beginning of a larger power shift. The moment Catherine did not bow, combined with Princess Anne's outrage and Camilla's silence, revealed the deep-seated tension that had been simmering within the palace for a long time. Anne, with her loyalty to tradition, saw Camilla's sidelining as a crack in the royal legacy. But for William and Catherine, it was a necessary step to save the monarchy from collapse. They faced an unforgiving world where the public and media were ready to dissect every decision, scrutinizing their every move. The monarchy, while being modernized, still faces a significant challenge: how to heal internal rifts, regain public trust, and avoid scandals that could shake everything. As history continues to be written, William and Catherine know that every step they take will shape not only the future of the crown, but also their own legacy. Camilla, in the eyes of the public, has always been a controversial figure. Some accepted her, believing she had proven her loyalty over decades of harsh scrutiny. Others remained skeptical, uneasy about how she became queen consort. Before her passing, Queen Elizabeth II carefully shaped Camilla's position, stating that she should be called queen consort to ensure the monarchy's stability. This move, though surprising, reflected the Queen's desire for a smooth transition. However, when Charles ascended the throne, Camilla's influence seemed to surpass expectations. She was no longer merely by the king's side, but actively shaping royal events, making decisions that affected the hierarchy, which left many within the royal family feeling uneasy. The discontent within the palace reached its peak when Princess Anne, King Charles's sister, spoke out. As Colonel of the Blues and Royals and holder of the Gold Stick title, Anne was a figure of power and respect. She did not hesitate to criticize Camilla's ambitions, claiming that her growing influence was causing internal divisions. Anne's words not only exposed the rifts, but also forced the palace to act quickly to avoid a public crisis. The decision to strip Camilla of her role was made decisively, shocking the world. Newspapers reported non-stop, and the public was divided. Some hailed Anne as the protector of the monarchy's integrity, while others felt the move was too harsh, especially given Camilla's decades of loyalty to Charles and the crown. Behind the glamorous exterior of the monarchy, the relationship between Camilla and Catherine had never truly been harmonious. This tension erupted when Camilla made a controversial decision at an important royal event. What was meant to be a moment of unity instead became a symbol of favoritism. Camilla favored her own family, granting them prominent roles, while Catherine's Middleton family was sidelined. For Catherine, who had always relied on her family to navigate the challenges of royal life, this was not just an oversight, it was a clear message of isolation. This decision deepened the rift between the two women and sent a signal that power within the palace was being shaped in a way that did not favor Catherine. The decision to sideline Camilla was not just a family dispute, it was a historic turning point. The monarchy, which relies on order and control, could not allow internal rifts to be exposed to the public. The world was swept up in a media storm, with headlines constantly analyzing every detail. The public was divided. Some supported Anne, seeing her as the guardian of royal heritage, while others sympathized with Camilla, who had proven her loyalty over many years. Polls showed strong support for William and Catherine, who were seen as symbols of modernization. However, this shift also raised concerns. If a central figure like Camilla could be sidelined, what would the future hold for the monarchy? Camilla's departure left many unanswered questions. For Charles, it was a personal blow, forcing him to confront doubts about his leadership abilities. For William and Catherine, it presented an opportunity to shape a modern monarchy, but they faced relentless scrutiny. Anne's role as the defender of tradition could become more prominent in this new context. More importantly, the event raised fundamental questions about the nature of the monarchy. Can it overcome internal rifts to regain public trust, or is this the beginning of a period of instability? The British royal family has weathered many scandals, but this time the fracture at the highest levels has shifted the balance of power, and the world is waiting for the next developments. Camilla's actions at a royal event favoring her own family while sidelining Catherine's Middleton family were not just an oversight, but a declaration of power. For Catherine, who had always found comfort in her family, amid the pressures of royal duties, this was a personal blow. It signaled a simmering power struggle within the palace. Catherine's response, though subtle, was deeply significant. At a subsequent public event, she refused to bow to Camilla, a break with royal protocol. In a monarchy where bowing symbolizes hierarchy and respect, Catherine's refusal was no accident. It was a deliberate statement sending a message that she did not accept Camilla's dominance, while also exposing the deep rifts within the royal family. Prince William, with his unwavering loyalty to the monarchy, typically avoided public confrontations. However, he grew increasingly concerned about Camilla's influence. Sources close to him revealed that William had expressed frustration in private discussions, particularly about how Camilla positioned herself at royal events. His dissatisfaction reached a boiling point during King Charles's coronation, when Camilla's prominent role seemed to overshadow the unity needed within the royal family. Though cautious in his approach, William realized that the monarchy's stability was being threatened by internal tensions. His frustration, though kept private, contributed to the mounting pressure that eventually forced the palace to act in addressing the escalating crisis. While William chose a more discreet approach, Princess Anne, King Charles's sister, did not hesitate to confront the issue head-on. With a lifetime of dedication to the monarchy and an uncompromising stance against manipulation, Anne decided that the time for silence had ended. At the coronation banquet in front of powerful figures, Anne openly challenged Camilla. She directly criticized how Camilla had consolidated power and the growing role she played in royal affairs. This moment, surprising and rare in royal history, was not merely a personal dispute, but a direct challenge to the legitimacy of Camilla's position. Anne's words carried the weight of a defender of tradition, shaking the palace and making it clear that the discord could no longer be hidden. The consequences of the confrontation were immediate. The monarchy, built on stability and control, could not tolerate such public discord at such a high level. The following morning, a shocking announcement was made. Camilla was stripped of her role as queen consort. This decision stunned the world. Camilla, once the central figure in Charles's life, who had endured decades of criticism to secure her position, was now decisively sidelined. Newspapers were filled with headlines, and the public was divided between those supporting the change and those feeling the move was too harsh. However, no one could deny that the balance of power in the palace had shifted, marking an irreversible turning point in royal history. The sidelining of Camilla was not just a family dispute, but a deep fracture in the structure of the monarchy. Catherine's actions, William's dissatisfaction, and Anne's confrontation together exposed the chaos behind the royal family's unified image. The monarchy, long seen as a symbol of tradition and stability, now faced major questions. Can Charles lead in this context? How will William and Catherine's roles evolve? And how will Anne, steadfast in her defense of tradition, influence the future? More importantly, this event raised a fundamental question about the nature of the monarchy. Can it heal the rifts to regain public trust, or is this the beginning of an era of instability? The world is waiting for an answer. The sidelining of Camilla was a heavy blow to King Charles, who had spent decades fighting for her recognition as queen consort. Over the years, the monarchy had carefully crafted Camilla's image, transforming her from a controversial figure to an indispensable part of the royal family. But in a single moment, all those efforts crumbled. For Charles, this wasn't just the loss of his wife's public role. It was a deep personal wound. He had faced criticism to protect Camilla, and now her removal placed him in a difficult position both emotionally and politically. However, the rift within the royal family had escalated into a crisis that could not be ignored, threatening the stability of the monarchy. Faced with this situation, the palace had no choice but to act even at the cost of Camilla's role. The decision to sideline Camilla sent shockwaves across the world. The press was ablaze with headlines, and the public became deeply divided. Some believed the move was long overdue, viewing Camilla's increasing influence as a threat to the unity of the royal family. Others saw it as an unjust punishment, a reminder that outsiders struggle to truly integrate into the monarchy. Online discussions and media outlets exploded with speculation about the future of King Charles and the monarchy. Many wondered, could Charles continue to reign without Camilla by his side? This event was not just a scandal, but a turning point that shook the very foundation of the dynasty, with the entire world watching every unfolding development. Amid the chaos, Princess Anne emerged as a key figure. Known for her dedication and pragmatic approach, Anne had long been one of the most reliable members of the royal family. However, her role in challenging Camilla transformed her from a quiet servant into a force shaping the balance of power. At the coronation, Anne openly criticized Camilla's influence, questioning the legitimacy of her role within the monarchy. This bold action, while hailed by some as necessary to protect tradition, was seen by others as a catalyst for an unprecedented crisis. Anne proved that even in a system that values unity, truth and responsibility still hold significant weight. For centuries, the British monarchy prided itself on maintaining an image of unity, even in times of internal conflict. But Camilla's departure shattered that perfect picture, exposing deep rifts within the palace. Anne's actions, Catherine's refusal to bow, and William's dissatisfaction all revealed tensions that had been simmering for a long time, no longer able to be hidden. This event was not merely a family dispute, but a public power shift shaking the public's faith in the monarchy's stability. The world now viewed the monarchy not only as a symbol of tradition, but as an institution vulnerable to unprecedented challenges in modern history. The sidelining of Camilla left a vast void within the monarchy, along with many unanswered questions. Who would step into her role? Would Catherine quickly be elevated to a more prominent position? Or would another figure like Anne shape the future? For King Charles, this loss was not just a personal blow, but also sparked doubts about his leadership during such a turbulent period. After more than 70 years of stability under Queen Elizabeth II, the monarchy now faced a crossroads. Could it adapt and regain public trust, or would this rift lead to even deeper chaos? As things settled, the world continued to wait, and the winds of change still swept through Buckingham Palace. For King Charles, removing Camilla from the role of queen consort was a painful blow. He had spent decades defending her, facing public criticism and royal tradition to secure Camilla's position. However, The increasing dissatisfaction within the family, coupled with public rifts, forced him into an unavoidable predicament. Charles was compelled to make a difficult decision not only for personal reasons, but also to protect the stability of the monarchy. Camilla's departure marked a pivotal turning point. The monarchy, which had weathered wars and scandals, now faced a crisis over its legitimacy. Could this institution continue to survive under the weight of internal divisions, or would it need to evolve to adapt to a modern world? The fall of Camilla sparked mixed reactions from the British public. Some believed that sidelining her was necessary, seeing her influence as the root of instability. Others viewed it as a harsh move, questioning whether the monarchy could still be a symbol of continuity and tradition. On forums and in the media, the public began discussing the role of the monarchy in an increasingly progressive society. Camilla's rise had once been seen as proof of the monarchy's adaptability, but her departure now served as a warning that no one is immune to change. The public's response will be a critical measure determining whether they continue to support an institution rooted in history or demand a monarchy that reflects modern values. Amidst the crisis, all eyes turned to Prince William and Princess Catherine. As the future faces of the monarchy, they now faced their greatest challenge, rebuilding public trust while mending internal rifts. For William, this was a moment to define his leadership abilities. He had already confronted personal challenges, from tensions with Prince Harry to the pressure of preparing for kingship, but now he had to lead an institution in turmoil. Catherine, with her calm demeanor and ability to connect with the public, also played a pivotal role. If she were to take on a more prominent position, she would need to strike a delicate balance between tradition and modernity, becoming the bridge between the past and future of the monarchy. Catherine, beloved for her grace and dedication, now faces the task of not only being a royal symbol, but also a leader. The role of a queen consort in the 21st century demands strategic intelligence, resilience, and the strength to navigate internal politics. She must prove that she can guide the monarchy through this crisis while earning the respect of both the palace and the public. Can Catherine become the bridge between the traditional monarchy and a modern dynasty, or will she be caught in the power struggles that once shaped Camilla's fate? This challenge is not just about maintaining an image, but about shaping a legacy for the next generation in an era where loyalty to the crown is no longer guaranteed. Camilla's departure not only closed a chapter but opened a new unstable era for the monarchy. Old alliances are crumbling, new power dynamics are forming, and the institution must find a way to survive in a world where tradition alone is no longer enough to maintain support. William and Catherine, in their central roles, must decide whether to protect the old values or embrace sweeping change. Princess Anne, steadfast in her defense of tradition, remains a powerful voice, while Charles's pain serves as a reminder of the cost of change. The monarchy, though having adapted over centuries, now faces a critical question. Can it reshape itself to fit the modern age, or is Camilla's downfall a sign of even greater challenges ahead the world is watching? And the answer remains in the future. The unexpected departure of Camilla has placed Princess Catherine at the center of attention. As the face of a modern monarchy, Catherine and Prince William have crafted an image of approachability, family values, and dedication to duty, earning the public's admiration. However, assuming the role of queen consort is an entirely different challenge. Every decision Catherine makes, from how she supports William, interacts with other royal family members, to how she presents herself in public, will be scrutinized closely. The public, though supportive, still harbors doubts about the stability of the monarchy after the Camilla crisis. Can Catherine reinforce public trust and become the bridge between tradition and modernity, Or will the ongoing debate surrounding Camilla deepen the divisions, making her journey even more challenging? Amid the chaos, Princess Anne emerged as a key figure. Known for her straightforwardness and unwavering dedication, Anne had long been a pillar of the royal family, often praised as the hardest-working member. Her role in challenging Camilla's influence elevated her status to new heights. By openly questioning Camilla's power, Anne demonstrated that she was willing to take decisive action to protect the integrity of the monarchy. This move raised a critical question: could Anne play a more central role in shaping the future of the crown? In an institution traditionally dominated by men, her decisiveness signaled a shift in how the role of royal women is perceived, opening the door to a more progressive approach while still respecting tradition. The existence of the monarchy has long depended on public support, but in the age of social media, the ability to control the royal image has diminished. Scandals involving Prince Andrew, the tensions between William and Harry, and now the sidelining of Camilla have exposed deep rifts within the royal family. The public is increasingly questioning the relevance of the monarchy in a modern society. Camilla's removal serves as a wake-up call. The royal family can no longer rely solely on tradition to maintain its position. They must engage more openly, be transparent in their practices, and prove that they still add value to British society. If not, public support could wane, pushing the monarchy into an existential crisis. The sidelining of Camilla was not just a scandal, but a historic turning point that shook the balance of power within the monarchy. For centuries, the institution had weathered wars, political upheavals, and cultural changes, but the current crisis carries a different tone. It raises an urgent question: can the monarchy adapt to modern expectations, or will its reluctance to change lead to its decline? Camilla's rise had once been seen as proof of the monarchy's ability to evolve, but her departure shows that even the most powerful figures cannot withstand the wave of change. To survive, the monarchy must reform, shedding outdated practices and building a closer connection with the public, a challenge that William, Catherine, and other members must confront. The fate of the monarchy now rests with Prince William, Princess Catherine, and key figures like Princess Anne. For William, this is an opportunity to prove his leadership not only in preserving tradition, but in shaping a monarchy that aligns with the 21st century. Catherine, beloved by the public, must strike a balance between her symbolic role and leadership responsibilities, ensuring she is not caught up in the power struggles that shaped Camilla's fate. Anne, with her growing influence, could either become the guardian of tradition or push for change. Their greatest challenge is navigating this period of instability, regaining public trust, and ensuring that the monarchy not only survives, but thrives. A new era has begun, but whether it leads to triumph or decline remains an unanswered question. The British monarchy, once a symbol of stability, now stands at a historic crossroads. It is caught between centuries-old traditions and the pressure to modernize, between the rising expectations of the public and the monarchy's unchanging duties. Camilla's departure, a moment that rocked the palace, exposed deep fractures within the institution. Will this transition lead to a rebirth of the monarchy, fitting for a new age, or will it mark the gradual decline of a centuries-old legacy? The answer remains uncertain, but one thing is clear: the monarchy is no longer the unchanging institution it once was. The royal family, once seen as a model of stability, is now an institution in transition. The sidelining of Camilla is not just a personal crisis, but a turning point that reshapes how the monarchy operates. Traditional values, power, and loyalty are being publicly challenged. The public, with tight scrutiny through social media, no longer accepts carefully controlled narratives. They demand transparency and a monarchy that reflects modern values. This event has made it clear that the royal family must adapt or face the risk of losing the support of the people. The departure of Camilla has created an unstable backdrop for the future of the monarchy. Old alliances have crumbled, and new power dynamics are taking shape. Prince William and Princess Catherine, as the faces of change, must lead the institution through this chaotic period. Princess Anne, with her steadfastness and decisiveness, could become a key voice in shaping the direction ahead. But big questions remain. Can the monarchy strike a balance between tradition and modernity? Will the public continue to support an institution tied to history, or will they demand radical change? The next developments will determine the fate of the monarchy. The events surrounding Camilla mark one of the most dramatic moments in recent royal history. This is not just the story of an individual being pushed out of the spotlight, but of an institution struggling to find its place in the 21st century. The British monarchy, with its rich history of surviving wars, revolutions, and scandals, now faces an unprecedented challenge: how to maintain relevance in a society no longer blindly loyal. Every decision made by William, Catherine, and other royal family members will be the brushstrokes that shape this new chapter, a chapter that could lead to either a resurgence or a weakening of the crown. Thank you for joining us in exploring one of the most shocking events in the British royal family, where tradition and power collide, opening a future full of uncertainty. The royal family will never be the same, and we are witnessing history being written right before our eyes. If you enjoyed this journey through royal drama, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any updates. Leave a comment below. Where do you think the monarchy is headed from here? Can William and Catherine lead the crown through this storm? Let's discuss and continue following the story.